Sayaka casually asks Kazuki if she can use his bath. He doesn't even look up before giving her a flat no way. But the parents are already on it. Voices from the other room tell Sayaka to go right ahead, leaving Kazuki stuck with no say in the matter. Kazuki's mom starts gushing over how hard Sayaka practices every day. Then she turns the roast on her son, calling him out for just lounging around the house. Kazuki sits there stewing, annoyed that he's constantly being compared to his childhood friend. He just wants to enjoy his game in peace. His mom orders him to take a towel to the bathroom. She warns him not to peek, and he scoffs at the idea like he'd even want to. As he walks over, he realizes that even though they saw everything when they were kids, he's never actually thought about what Sayaka looks like now. The thought alone gets him flustered, and he starts questioning why these images are suddenly living rent-free in his head. He cracks the door to drop off the towel, but Sayaka is right there through the steam. She casually mentions they're out of shampoo. The shock hits him like a lightning bolt, and he slams the door shut before his brain can even process what he's seeing. He bolts up to his room and sits on the bed, face buried in his hands. That one glimpse is burned into his memory. He starts banging his head against the wall, trying to literally knock the image out. Downstairs, his mom yells at him to quit the noise. The next day at school, Kazuki is a nervous wreck. He can't even look her in the eye and tries to sneak home alone. He tries to brush off his friends to go home and play games, desperate for any distraction from his awkward thoughts. But Sayaka is right there waiting in the hallway, looking completely unbothered by the previous night's drama. She asks if he has club activities, and when he says no, she brightly suggests they walk home together. He couldn't find a way out of it, so they ended up walking side by side along the quiet road near the fields. He's fuming internally, wondering if she's really just over it while he's the only one suffering from the awkwardness. She leans in close to ask if he's okay, and the sudden proximity is way too much for him to handle. She calls him out for acting weird, so he tries to pivot the conversation by stopping at a vending machine. They grab some drinks, and Kazuki notices Sayaka still goes for the same peach juice she's loved since they were little kids. He tries to open his can, but it sprays everywhere, getting juice all over Sayaka's uniform. They take a seat on a nearby bench, the situation just getting more uncomfortable by the second. Sayaka licks the sticky juice off her fingers, and Kazuki feels like he's going to implode from the awkwardness. She realizes her wallet is all sticky now, too, and Kazuki can only sit there and apologize for the mess. Suddenly, Sayaka spots something crawling on her shoes. Her expression shifts from annoyance to pure terror. Ants are everywhere. She starts panicking, and Kazuki points out that a bunch of them have made it onto her back, too. She frantically asks him to take them off, spinning around and leaving Kazuki frozen and totally flustered. He's too stunned to move, and in her panic, Sayaka trips and pins him straight to the ground. They end up in a tangled mess on the grass, both of them blushing as they realize how close they are. Kazuki looks up at her, his heart racing. The childhood friend vibe is officially gone. He realizes his entire perspective has shifted. She's not just the girl next door anymore. He lays there after she leaves, staring at the sky and wondering how he's supposed to look at her from now on. They were born just a day apart and grew up together in a town full of greenery. It was always just the two of them. As the years passed, Sayaka grew up to be strong, smart, and popular, excelling at everything she touched. Kazuki, on the other hand, found his passion in gaming and slowly became a total shut-in. His mom would lose her mind screaming at him to stop playing and help out, calling him a hopeless kid. While they grew up together, Sayaka was always the one being praised as an honor student and star athlete. Even now, Sayaka is the one always helping out around the house, making Kazuki look even worse by comparison. Eventually, his mom has enough and drags him out of the house by his ear to do some real work. She tells him he's not getting his game controller back until he finishes weeding the garden, and Sayaka is already there helping. Kazuki hates pulling weeds on a Sunday, but Sayaka just smiles and says she has the day off from her usual practice. He notices how fast she's working and suddenly gets competitive, determined not to lose to her in their backyard showdown. Yuka points out a patch of clover. She's found something special. It's a 4-leaf clover. She's thrilled, but Tsurugi remembers when she was the one crying as a kid because she couldn't find one. She looks at him, her expression softening as she recalls the memory. He's surprised she remembered something from so long ago. Back then, they searched until the sun went down before their parents came to get them. Tsurugi looks down and spots a 5-leaf clover right in front of him. But he immediately gets embarrassed and kicks it away, shouting for her to never mind. Walking to school with my childhood friend. They've been making this trip together since they were kids, back when Yuka was the clumsy one. But now, Tsurugi can't help but notice that she's grown up way more than he has. The stairs to school are steep. He tells her to take her time, since they're already late anyway. He's internally panicking because walking behind her is a visual minefield, and he's worried about creeps trying to peek. He decides to walk ahead of her like a gentleman, trying to stay composed. But Yuka overtakes him in a flash. He's shocked at how much faster she's gotten since they were little. She waves him forward with a playful smile, telling him she's going ahead. It's a total reversal from their childhood, when she was the one begging him not to leave her behind. Tsurugi is annoyed by her teasing, yelling at her to mind her own business. In the end, they were late for school. Both of them look pretty worn out from the run. They wait by the gate for the teacher to let them in. Tsurugi is already bored by how slow the day is starting. He catches a glimpse of Yuka from the side, looking calm and collected. He finds himself staring, unable to take his eyes off her. She ties her hair up, and Tsurugi feels his heart start to pound. He hates that he's becoming so conscious of her. He tries to convince himself she's just like a sibling, flashing back to their childhood to stay grounded. They finally make it inside Amori Private High School, a place known for its wide range of courses and excellent facilities. Inside the gym, Yuka is showing off the karate skills that made her famous. Her strikes are sharp and her footwork is elegant. The master is full of praise for her performance. Word of her perfection spreads. She's not just athletic, she's getting perfect scores on all her quizzes too. It's no surprise guys are constantly lining up to confess to her. Tsurugi finds himself squeezed in the hallway by a crowd of her admirers, feeling like he's just in the way. He drops off a box for a teacher, still dwelling on how he messed up by interrupting a confession earlier. He's beating himself up in his head, wondering why he acted so unnaturally in front of her. Class is a total snooze fest. During a lecture, a friend passes him a folded note. It's a simple thanks for earlier from Yuka. Tsurugi can't hide his grin. His classmates think his sudden smile is super creepy, but he's too happy to care. It starts pouring, just like it did 7 years ago during homeroom. Little Tsurugi didn't have an umbrella back then. He watched the rain with a blank stare. Little Yuka offered hers, but he was too stubborn to take it and ran through the rain with his bag over his head. Back in the present, the guys admire Yuka from afar while she waits out the rain. She's just as kind as she was back then. Tsurugi watches her, his feelings more complicated than ever. He sits in his room later, realizing he's in a huge predicament because he hasn't studied at all. With no other choice, he decides to text Yuka for help with his notes. She replies instantly, but the photos she sends are a blurry, unreadable disaster. He's shocked to see she accidentally sent a photo with the front camera on, catching her off guard. He finds himself staring at a collection of her selfies instead of his notes. His motivation to study is officially dead. Tsurugi is lounging on his sofa when his phone buzzes. It's a call from Yuka. She tells him she's on her way to drop off the notes. Tsurugi immediately panics, telling her it's too late and dangerous for her to be out alone. He's practically shouting into the phone, telling her to stay home. He decides he'll be the one to go pick them up instead because of the freezing night air. But it's too late. Yuka is already there. She stands outside in the chilly night air, looking right at him. Tsurugi catches up to her, breathless. He's annoyed that she didn't listen to him, but she just stares back at him with a neutral expression. He realizes she's noticed how weirdly he's been acting lately. He feels like a total mess because his perception of her has completely changed. "It's because I'm worried about you," he blabs out. The words hang in the air, sounding more intense than he intended. The silence that follows is awkward. Tsurugi wishes he could take it back or at least say it more naturally. Yuka simply hands over the notes and tells him to bring them back on Monday. As she walks away, Tsurugi is left standing there, his face burning with embarrassment. This feeling of protectiveness goes way back. 7 years ago, on a school trip to Tsutsuji Park, things weren't much different. Little Yuka was just as clumsy then. After she took a nasty fall, little Tsurugi scolded her while offering his hand to keep her steady. Their classmates didn't miss a beat, immediately teasing them about holding hands and acting like a married couple. Little Tsurugi's face turned beet red as he told them to shut up, claiming he was only doing it so she wouldn't get hurt again. Back in the present, students at school are complaining about a particularly hard test. Saki and Tatono are busy with their cleaning duties. Tsurugi walks past them, effortlessly dodging a broom. The girls gossip about how he's always sleeping in class and seems totally unapproachable. They're startled when Yuka suddenly appears. They immediately start backpedaling, trying to act like they weren't just trash-talking her friend. Yuka doesn't let it slide. She tells them flat out that Tsurugi isn't gloomy at all, her eyes firm and defensive. Meanwhile, Tsurugi is at the sinks when a friend rushes up to him, excitedly talking about a new update for their favorite game. The friend shows him a teaser for a new character, Karina Stella. She's an elite warrior with a very distinct, powerful look. Tsurugi stares at the screen. The character's ponytail and serious expression are strikingly familiar. The friend asks if he thinks she looks like someone. Tsurugi has a sudden, explosive reaction and bolts out of the room. Yuka watches him go, jokingly wondering if he's seen a bear. In the classroom, Saki is having a full-blown crisis of jealousy. She's looking at social media posts of city girls having the time of their lives at Disney. For us country kids, Disney is out of the question, she wails. Their teacher interrupts the drama to remind them he's locking the room soon. Saki decides she needs sugar to cope. Yuka offers to go grab some drinks for everyone, asking who wants what. Down at the vending machine, Yuka spots a stray cat curled up on a trash bin, fast asleep. She can't resist. She starts petting the cat, her face lighting up with a soft, genuine smile that she rarely shows. Tsurugi, who had returned to look for his forgotten phone, stops dead. Seeing her so relaxed and happy caught him off guard. He hears other students approaching and panics. He doesn't want anyone else to see this private side of her, so he quickly distracts them. Their bond has always been defined by these small moments. Years ago, little Yuka would always turn to her nickname for him when she was stuck on a problem. But a teacher's lecture about proper respect and avoiding nicknames planted a seed of doubt in her. Little Yuka worried she couldn't call him that anymore. When she saw other kids calling him by his last name, she felt a sudden distance. She tried to use a formal name too, but it felt wrong. Tsurugi just called her a stupid girl for being so weird about it. She decided then and there that she would call him properly from now on. She spent the afternoon practicing his full name, hoping it would make them look more like mature students. She tried calling out several variations of his name in public, but he never seemed to hear her. It was like she was calling for a stranger. Finally, she couldn't take the silence anymore and shouted his old nickname at the top of her lungs. Tsurugi stopped and turned immediately. When she asked if they could walk home together, he gave her a bright, happy smile. He confessed that he liked it much better when she used his nickname. To him, it was a special privilege reserved only for her. Fast forward to the present day. Yuka is over at Tsurugi's house, helping with the chore of folding laundry. Tsurugi is glued to a video game, his headphones cutting him off from everything as he struggles against a tough opponent. Yuka is annoyed by his lack of focus. She tells him he should go back to karate, mentioning how cool he used to look during practice. Tsurugi just sighs, looking exhausted. Yuka mentions that the dojo is still asking about him and begs him not to become a shut-in who never leaves his room. He brushes her off, but his gaze wanders to the old karate awards on the shelf. A picture of them as kids at the dojo reminds him of a time when things were simpler. Tsurugi decides to take his mother's advice and finally remove the old karate certificate from the wall. He stands precariously on a small stool, reaching up to unhook the frame. But as he pulls it away, he loses his footing and begins to tumble backward with a startled shout. Luckily, His mother is quick to react and catches him before he hits the floor. Tsurugi is mortified, apologizing as he realizes how pathetic it feels to have his mom catch him. He can't help but remember a time when falls like this meant nothing to him, highlighting how much his physical condition has slipped. His mother gazes at him with genuine concern, asking if he twisted his ankle during the fall. Tsurugi is momentarily dazed, staring back at her as he processes the concern in her eyes and the reality of his own clumsy accident.